For more now, we want to turn to Lisa Lerer in Washington. She's a national politics reporter for the Associated Press. Lisa, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. We want to talk about the deal that was struck with the Carrier plant in Indiana. The company's receiving tax cuts as incentive to not move jobs to Mexico. This we know. There are many other things we don't know. But what does this say about the precedent this deal sets that other companies might try to take advantage of?
Well, there's certainly a lot of economists who are very concerned that this puts us on, as a major economic hazard. This is the kind of thing that, frankly, mayors and governors typically do. They offer companies tax incentives to remain in their state or their city. It's a pretty standard thing, but it's completely unusual for a president to pursue this path, and there's a reason for that. It sort of sets up a situation where companies may say, well, we're leaving the country unless President Trump offers us some kind of incentive, and the president really can't be involved in every company's inner workings, every deal in that kind of a micro way. And also, you sort of lessen the power of states and local jurisdictions to cut their own deals because they can always appeal to a higher power, in this case, President Trump.
Well, I have to ask you, too, we heard it there at the end of that little clip about really what Trump stressed yesterday, that companies who continue to move jobs out of the United States will actually end up facing consequences. Critics have argued this is a chilling situation, really, because companies may make business decisions out of a fear of punishment. What's the potential fallout of that scenario?
Well, look, one thing that companies and businesses like is predictability. They like to know that the rules are the same for everyone. They like to know what the rules are. And by doing this deal with Carrier, there's a lot of unpredictability. Everyone sort of thinks and hopes that they could be the ones to get a one-off deal. Are you more likely to get a tax incentive, for example, to remain in the state if you're in Ohio, which is a pivotal swing state and a state that Trump won, than say California, which is a Democratic state? These are the kinds of questions that could get really murky as the politics of the presidency intersect with these, sort of microeconomic factors.
Yeah, let's talk about, switch gears a little bit, retired General James Mattis being picked for defense secretary. Senator John McCain, as we were just talking about a few minutes ago, has referred to him as one of the finest military officers of his generation. General Mattis needs a waiver, though, from Congress in order to be able to serve. It seems likely lawmakers will grant that one, but what makes him appealing for this job, besides the fact that, he really is known as a good leader and he served in the Marine Corps for 41 years and people look up to him?
Well, what Republicans like John McCain like about him is that they sort of hope he'll encourage other sort of more mainstream Republicans to serve in the Trump administration. He's very well respected within the military. Maybe his appointment will encourage military personnel to remain in the administration or join the administration. So they see him as sort of a leavening force potentially on Trump's isolationist tendencies. While he is fairly hawkish on Iran, he's made many hawkish statements to that point. He also says that the U.S. can't really at this point completely withdraw from that deal. He was involved in a military capacity with NATO, so he's hardly an isolationist. And that's, of course, what folks like McCain are worried about when it comes to Trump.
We do have a general now, Mattis for defense, retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn for National Security Advisor, and you have retired General David Petraeus under consideration for Secretary of State. After the criticism that Donald Trump had for the generals during the campaign cycle, what do you make of his reliance on them now?
Well, of course, things can look awfully different once you're president, or in this case, president-elect, than they did as a candidate. He's now meeting with these people, interacting with them. But there are real concerns here. There's a reason that the Constitution made the president a civilian commander-in-chief, and that was to avoid an over-concentration in military power in our foreign policy decision-making. So there are some, people in the foreign policy world who have concerns that having so many generals in the administration could potentially lead to, a focus on building up the military too much or an over-dependence on, military in these kinds of international relations.
Lisa Lerer with the Associated Press, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.